Welcome, my seedlings. I know why you came here, because our FNAF videos have over 100 views. Like I said in the redesign video, I would make a rewrite of the video if it did well. And it did really well. So I'm not going to keep you waiting anymore. This is the long-awaited security breach rewrite. Gregory wakes up one morning in his room, which is part of a cave system underneath the Pizzaplex, dismantled security bots surrounding his mattress. He picks up his fast pass in case anyone asks any questions. He could just say that he was over 12 and is allowed in unsupervised. He'd show them his fast pass and all will be hunky-dory. People would just assume he'd be one of those super fans of Freddy and Friends that just came every day. Gregory would normally watch the morning show with Freddy and his friends, then he'd eat breakfast in the maze-exercise, continuing on his day while trying to avoid the security guard Vanessa, whom he hated purely because she was a threat to his living style. Gregory would not do many rides because he didn't want to draw attention to himself. Gregory would then stop for lunch at El Chips because people often crowded the maze-exercise during lunch. After this, he'd watch the afternoon show with the animatronics, which lasted a few hours. Then he'd have dinner at maze-exercise again. But one day, the cycle was different. Gregory woke up one day, as he always would, and headed to maze-exercise for breakfast. But this time, Vanessa was waiting for him. She stared Gregory down for a few minutes, which wasn't normal, because she would normally just grab him and take him to the front desk. Here she was just staring. Gregory quickly left maze-exercise and proceeded to the morning show. There was a lot more kids, so it would be harder to spot him. Vanessa went to the show with Gregory, and Gregory was scared. He had never been so close to the main stage. He was in the front row with some other kids who was much taller than him, which covered him up nicely. The show started as normal. The animatronics came to the stage, but as they were all about to sing, all of their eyes lit up and they stopped talking, all except Freddy, who stood confused as to why his friends were spazzing out. He looked into the audience for help, but when he saw Gregory, he looked incredibly confused, staring at him. But then he saw Vanessa was closing in on Gregory, with an eerie grin on her face and bright teal eyes. Freddy knew Vanessa. Her eyes were brown normally. Freddy got scared, so he faked spazzing out like the rest of the animatronics and fell into the audience. Freddy told Gregory to get inside his chest cavity because Vanessa was looking for him, and she didn't look like herself. Gregory climbed in, and Vanessa didn't find him. The repairman came to look at Freddy and told them he was fine, except for his chest cavity wouldn't open, because Freddy wanted to keep Gregory safe. The repairman said they couldn't fix it now, and they would have to wait until the new part shipment came, which was in a week. Back in Rockstar Row, Freddy lets Gregory out. Gregory asks why Freddy thinks he knows what's going on. And then Freddy responds with, he doesn't know, but all he knows is that her eyes were weird blue and purple. Gregory never noticed that detail, but he wanted to stay as far away from her as possible. Freddy agrees to help him by letting him leave the Pizzaplex. Gregory is hesitant because he hasn't left the Pizzaplex in all he can remember. But he agrees because of Vanessa. Freddy takes Gregory through some of the staff tunnels to escape. Gregory is injured by one of the Freddy mechanical bits, but doesn't want to show Freddy the injury. Freddy can feel Gregory is injured, so he goes off to deliver Gregory to the first aid place. Gregory is to tend to his wounds, but Vanessa finds Freddy and asks him why he's down here. And he says that he wants to help Vanessa with the search. She says, great, if you find the child, kill him and tear him apart. Then she leaves with a much more confident stance than Freddy has ever seen her. Freddy, thoroughly disturbed, beckons Gregory to get back in his chest because Vanessa wants to tear him apart. Gregory and Freddy both know something is wrong with Vanessa, so they agree to avoid her for the rest of the time Gregory has to escape, which is only a few minutes. So Gregory rushes to the exit inside Freddy, and the doors slam suddenly. No one is leaving. Freddy remembers the repairman said the shipment was coming in a week, so they couldn't fix anything. It was much safer to close down the entire Pizzaplex than to deal with robot bugs they couldn't fix. Gregory told Freddy to find another exit, and Freddy said that maybe they could try looking at the driveway and the back doors at the left wing of the Pizzaplex near Roxy Wasteland and Razor-Size. Freddy and Gregory try to get there as fast as they can, but they are stopped by Monty, who asks where they are going. They're each supposed to search for the kid. Freddy says that he is and wants to check every exit in the Pizzaplex to make sure he hasn't left. Monty understands and tells Chica that something's up with Freddy. Freddy then gets Gregory to the driveway, but can't enter because the door was made for a person, not Freddy, who is 14 feet tall. All the animatronics are somewhere in that height range. So Gregory alone can pick up a truck and leave. Gregory quickly gets in a car and uses the keys to start up, but Vanny was waiting for him in the back seat. Gregory is nearly killed when she pins him to a wall and almost slits his throat, but Gregory manages to slip through her grasp and escape the driveway. Gregory runs all the way to the daycare in a panic and calls Freddy and tells him that he's in the daycare. Freddy tells him that he's going to go get him, but Son finds Gregory and is very excited to meet him, but constantly tells him to never turn off the lights. Gregory, being a rebellious child who does what he wants, and is a little suspicious of Sun, turns off the lights anyways, triggering Sun's transformation into Moon, during which he stalks Gregory and tries to kill him. Gregory tries to get to the generator outside of the daycare, but Moon and 3 of the other animatronics corner him in the daycare entrance. But Freddy ends up saving him, revealing the fact that he's helping Gregory to everyone else. Gregory asks Freddy why he saved him, and Freddy says it's because he cares about Gregory. Gregory was shocked, thinking no one cared about him. Freddy gets back to Rockstar Row and tells Gregory that the other animatronics are probably hacked or corrupted, and they have to somehow fix their programming, so Gregory and Freddy head over to Parts and Service to build a jammer in order to fix the other animatronics. And once they finish, Gregory decides that they head to Monty Golf, because Monty is the most dangerous if he's not on their side. Freddy agrees, and they head to Monty Golf, Freddy getting injured in the process by an attack of security bots, leaving Gregory to place the jammer on Monty in order to fix his programming. But Monty finds Gregory before he can plan anything, and he chases Gregory up to the rafters above Monty Golf, and Gregory manages to push the giant bucket full of balls onto Monty, causing him to fall and get dismantled. When Gregory gets an idea. Gregory places the jammer onto Monty, fixing him, but before he does, he takes Monty's claws. Then he leaves and takes Freddy to Parts and Service to get fixed. He fixes Freddy, but he also installs Monty's claws. Freddy asks where he got these parts, and if Monty is okay. Gregory says Monty is fine, and those new claws were spares that he found. Freddy thanks Gregory, and they move on to Mazercise in order to fix Chica, but Freddy comes across Fanny again, and he tries to hold her off until Gregory can fix Chica. Gregory enters Mazercise, and Chica tries to kill him. He avoids her throughout the maze, but gets another idea and leads her into the kitchen and prepares a pizza, and leaves it in the trash compactor. Chica goes in and tries to eat, but Gregory turns on the compactor with Chica inside, completely crushing her. He places the jammer onto her, fixing her programming, and takes her voice box. But then he leaves and finds Freddy hurt but not dismantled. He takes him back to Parts and Service and tells Freddy he needs a new voice box, despite Freddy not actually needing one. So he replaces the voice boxes and tells Freddy he found it in spare parts. Freddy believes him and he heads to Roxy Raceway. Freddy accompanies Gregory onto the raceway to lure out Roxy, which succeeds, and Roxy finds them and hops onto the raceway. Gregory rams the car into Roxy and plays it up as an accident to Freddy despite taking her eyes. He places the jammer onto her and leaves, but Roxy gets up and attacks Freddy, tearing him apart. Gregory takes Freddy back to Parts and Service and installs Roxy's eyes and fixes Freddy's up. Freddy thanks Gregory, but Gregory looks different to him. Freddy can see through walls, and he sees that Gregory is an animatronic just like Freddy. And he asks why Gregory never told him this, but Gregory didn't respond. Freddy tells him that since he fixed the coating on his friends, once the week is over, he can just go home, and he is safe for the rest of the week. As they head out of Parts and Service and onto the main stage, Vanny's face appears on all the screens in the Pizzaplex. She says that Gregory lied to Freddy, and she shows pictures of all the damaged and broken remains of what used to be Freddy's friends. Freddy asks how could Gregory do this, and Gregory responds that they got what they deserve. Freddy leaves Gregory, feeling betrayed. Vanny tells Gregory that there's a present waiting for him on the lowest level of the Pizzaplex. So Gregory uses the elevator in the main stage and goes to the deepest level of the Pizzaplex. Everything is dark. He doesn't even seem like a level, more like a cave. Gregory walks down it, but then he enters a large room, and inside of it there's a large bunny robot with glowing purple eyes just standing there. And Vanny's in a glass room separate from the cave, but still overlooking it. Vanny says that William Afton wants to meet him. Gregory walks up to the big rabbit robot, and it kneels down to talk to him. Afton says that Gregory is actually the rebuilt vessel for the spirit of his dead son, and he says that Gregory should become part of the family again. Gregory refuses because Afton is a killer, but Afton says that Gregory killed all of those animatronics when a better solution proposed itself. Gregory is just as much of a killer as Afton. Gregory refuses again, and Afton tells him that if he isn't with him, he's an obstacle that has to be removed. Gregory runs away, and Afton says, "So be it, you'll burn with the rest of them." Afton sets fire to the small room, and it spreads throughout the Pizzaplex. Gregory manages to run into a room with 2 large doors and many cameras. The entrances don't have doors, but instead Gregory can shock Afton. A boss fight ensues, and Freddy returns. Gregory wonders why Freddy came back for him, and Freddy says he's still mad about him destroying his friends, but he doesn't want to see another child die at the hands of Afton. And together they push Afton back into the room where the fire started. His robot body slowly deteriorates, and he's no longer able to move, and he burns and dies slowly. Vanessa is released from the mind control, and he helps Freddy and Gregory escape the Pizzaplex. They all watch it go into flames, and they all know that the chaos and the Five Nights at Freddy's saga is truly over. Thank you, my seedlings, for watching this video. It was fun to make and I really enjoyed it. I actually don't plan on doing much FNAF content after this, but I really hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for all those views on those other FNAF videos. I really appreciate it. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.